Hello, hello, good morning, everyone. So, if you joined me on Instagram, you may have heard I promised I would feed the fish. As you can see, Frank is over here. He's starving. He never gets fed. So, we're going to start off by feeding Frank. Yeah, hang tight. Let's see. Flip this around. Nope, not that. There we go. All right. Hey, hey! Good morning. All right, apologize for this being jerky. Trying not to let my camera fall in the water. Normally I've got this awesome waterproof case in it, but you guys can't hear me when I film with that on, so. Say good morning to Frank. Frank, say hi, buddy. All right, so today we've got two options for Frank. What do you think? Probiotics, Algimax. Now these don't normally just sit here. Hey, good morning everybody. So we're gonna feed Frank real quick. Frank's favorite is probiotics. Oh Frank, you crack me up, man. All right, so go on, buddy. I feel like Frank could just have his own channel. His little crooked horn. You get a great view of his crooked horn in this shot. So, I always am embarrassed by my tank because it's not the prettiest, but when I went back and looked at all the YouTube views, the videos that had the most views were views of people getting to watch Frank eat, so I was like, alright, I don't blame him, Frank's super cute. Frank, even though it's early, is wide awake and ready to go. He thinks that this show is totally about him. I do have other fish in here, so I've got a yellow tang hanging out down in the corner, and there's a Desjardins sailfin in here somewhere, but it's a little too early for them. So, I'm gonna pull out these fish foods. No, they don't normally stay in the container, or in my tank, but I figured I'd put them in there for display purposes this morning. Did you guys have a good weekend? All right, so I could probably just leave this visual up and just talk. Hey! Oh, Nugget, I didn't know you had your own channel. Oh, if you look straight down, my giant hermit crab right down there. He just recently molted like a full. I was cleaning the sand and I saw a claw. I was like, oh, I wonder if he molted, and I didn't realize, and I pulled it up and it was like a full, complete molt. So, all right, that's it for now. I'm going to flip the camera around once more. See all my prep stuff down there. All right, so today, I'm gonna bring my dress back. I gotta have my props for the show, right? Ooh, and that's crooked too. Sorry about all these adjustments, guys. All right, so today's topic was, how do you teach people who are unfamiliar with aquariums, fish, the whole shebang? How do you teach them about what you love and inspire them without insulting them? A couple weeks ago on Instagram, I posted a funny meme about like what are the most ridiculous questions that you get asked about your fish, and some of the answers that you guys wrote in blow my mind. But in people asking crazy questions, that's a great opportunity for us to teach them and inspire them to fall in love with aquariums, kind of like we did. So, you know, oh god, table salt. So Frank is kind of an oddball fish. yeah, like there's really, most people that see him don't really feel like there's anything quite that he cares to. So, you know, I've got a couple aquariums here in my house, and when people come over, they tend to be gravitated towards it. And people will straight up ask me, like, what is that fish? Like, what is going on over there? Like, he looks all sorts of ridiculous. And it's a great example for me to tell them about aquariums and teach them about cowfish. And, you know, they're like, oh, he spits water? How cool is that? I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And then, you know, I clean the glass all the time, so it's not as cool. But, you know, it's still exciting that people get a different side of fish. They're not like, they don't expect fish to spit water when they want food. You know, a lot of people don't think that fish are on that level of intelligence. So it's exciting to teach and share that with them. Now, I started off a little bit differently today. I do like to do shout outs to people. Instagram has this cool thing, people are sending out stickers. A lot of times when you guys offer to send me stickers, I'm super excited, but they go to New Life Spectrum headquarters and then they come to me. So thanks to the awesome people that have sent me stickers so far. I would have put them on my water bottle, but my water bottle won't fit in the screen to show you, so yay, thanks for stickers. Today's topic obviously is about learning and teaching, and I'm curious to hear your inputs, how you teach people. Have you ever inspired anyone to get a fish tank, get an aquarium? Have you ever helped them along with it? I had one girl come over to meet my mini pig. Her and her son wanted to meet the pig, and they came over and saw the aquariums, and like a month later I got a message, so look what I did. And I've got like a picture on my phone of like a full-blown reef tank. I was like, whoa, that's cool. So that's exciting. But today, I can't juggle all this and hold the coffee, dang it. Today, I kind of want to do like a brief overview and go over New Life Spectrum foods and teach you guys a little bit about all of the different foods that we have, because there's a lot. I'm going to just see if I can. Magical balancing act of foods. This is what, 5 jars that I'm holding, and I've got a 6th jar hanging out somewhere. I'm not sure where I put it. But this isn't even like half of our foods. So I'm going to tell you guys about the foods that we have, and hopefully, you know, maybe you'll learn something new today. I'm going to, I don't want to say debunk, but several of these foods, I get some kind of oddball questions about them. So I'm just going to, sometimes it's easier to hear it from somebody in person versus it being typed out. So I'm going to go ahead and share some of the tips about some of these different foods. Yes, inspired people and got them to set up tanks. It's good that you try to help. Wait now. Come over to my house, see my fish tank. Yep. Yeah, sometimes, especially with saltwater, people tend to get like freaked out. They're like, oh no, it's way too much effort. Like, no, it's not really. Like, I think I did way more when I had my freshwater tank than I've done with my saltwater tank. Well, my Fowler tank. All right, so New Life Spectrum has a large variety of foods. We've got a bunch of different families of foods. So I'm going to go over them just real quick. I don't want to go too much into detail because when I was back in Miami, beginning of the year, we made several videos talking about the families of foods. But, you know, I think it's important because I talk a lot about reef cell. I talk a lot about this one as our coral food, but there's a bunch of other stuff out there. And even on Instagram, people learned about foods that they didn't know were around, so hopefully you'll learn something new today. All right, I'll start out with New Life Spectrum. This is kind of our flagship food, I guess, so to speak. It's our original formula. It's good for freshwater, saltwater, tropical fish. It's got all of the New Life Spectrum nutrition that you would need for your fish tank. It comes in a couple different sizes, so just, let's see, look at the jar. Look at the jar, it'll tell you right there, and then over here on the jar it gives you a actual like little picture and then a physical size that you can look for. So yeah, that's our original line of foods. Good for beginners. You know, sometimes stores don't carry our full line of food, so they might only carry this one. good. It's an all-around good food. Next up is Grow. Grow is our food for our fry. So if you have live bears, if you've got those cichlids, if you've got mollies or guppies or anything like that that are having babies on a regular basis, Grow is packed full of nutrition. It's got the fats that they need. It's got a lot of protein. It's gonna help them grow and get big and strong. So that's a fun option. Next up, flake food. Optimum flake food. You know, I've gotten a lot of questions on this one recently, the flake food. People have opened the jar and they're like, oh, the flakes are all brown. Are they supposed to be brown? Yep, they're supposed to be brown. We believe in no artificial preservatives, so that's with the Natrox that we've talked about before. That flake food, when you open it, it's going to be all brown. It's supposed to be like that. There's no dyes or artificial colors in that. So that's really good for a lot of filter feed. Gosh, let me get some coffee. For fish that feed on the top. So I know a lot of people really, really like the flake food. All right, next up, we got our specialty line. There's several foods that fit into this specialty line. Now, they're not all listed on here. A couple of them that are, well, one of them that's not listed is the betta. So we do have a food just for bettas. If you've got a betta fish, definitely look for it. We have a food just for cichlids. Yay, there's a lot of cichlid people out there, so we've got a food just for your fish. If you've got a Fowler tank, we have a marine formula. Well, if you've got a saltwater tank, marine formula, it's good. Kind of like the original formula, but it's geared specifically towards marine fish. Goldfish. If you've got goldfish, we have food for you. Like I said, betta's not listed on here, but we do have a betta fish food. I can't remember her Instagram handle. There's a girl in California that has a lot of bettas that loves this food. I would give you her name and tell you to check her out, but I cannot remember her handle today. I apologize. Next up, Ultra Red. So this is one that I get a lot of questions about. Is it going to turn my fish red? I'm going to use Frank here as an example. Frank, come here, buddy. Frank's like, nah, I'm done. You fed me. I'm out. So Frank is a very yellow fish. There's no red about him. If I were to feed Frank Ultra Red, Frank is not going to turn red. Frank is still going to be his yellow cheese color self, kind of alien with blue spots at night, but he's not going to be red. This Ultra Red is just going to enhance and bring out those natural red pigments that are already in your fish. So if you've got something like a flame angel and it's looking a little bit dull, you could feed Ultra Red and it will help to brighten up and bring out those red colors, make them pop. It's got astaxanthin in it. I feel like I butcher that every time I say it. It's the natural red pigment that you're going to find in things like shrimp. It's what makes flamingos pink. So it's got that same sort of ingredient in it. It's going to help bring out those reds. It's not going to enhance colors if they're not already there. So Frank won't turn red, but if you've got fish that are red or pink, it will bring those out. Let's see, float. So float is good for those surface feeders, people that like to feed on top. Frank actually probably could benefit from this. If you've got koi, float comes in a variety of sizes. It's one of the few foods that come in those the large and the extra large pellets. So again, we do have a food for koi, I believe. It's just not listed on here, but float is a really good one for surface feeding fish. And it comes in the really small sizes. So, you know, you could use this for bettas too. It's, I believe it comes in the 1 millimeter pellets. So if your betta is a little on the bigger side, on the larger side, you could probably feed float as well. I was mentioning on Instagram, I bet turtles, if you've got pet turtles, I'd be curious if they would go after the float as well. All right, we're almost halfway there. Should be halfway there. All right, so we have a line of medicated foods. It used to be a lot larger. Now we have reduced it to just Hex Shield. I believe you can get some of the powders, but I don't want to say for sure, so we'll wait and see where that goes. Hex Shield is good if you've got internal parasites, those like internal worms. Now, I will say this, a lot of people come to me and tell me, I think my fish has worms. I bought Hex Shield, it's not working. Hex Shield is not going to work overnight. It's not going to be you feed it today and then tomorrow your fish are better. It's going to be one of those things you need to feed it for over the course of like a week, maybe longer. And this too, this sounds terrible, but a lot of times, like even if we pay really close attention to our fish, and I've been in this boat before, a lot of time by the time your fish is exhibiting symptoms, so like for gut parasites and like those worms, usually a sunken belly is a good sign. A lot of times by the time you notice that, it's gonna be too late. And that sounds terrible, but I've experienced this before. I had a goby and he was a phenomenal, great eater. Like that guy was a champ. But I would notice over time, I'm like, dude, this guy is a pig. He eats so much food, and then like an hour later his stomach was sunken in, and it didn't matter how much medicated food I gave him, like he still, it got the best of him. So there's a point of no return. A lot of people have told me that they'll feed Hex Shield, like especially like I used to feed it in the aquarium store. Like when we got new fish, Hex Shield, they would get it in the mix of their foods for the first week. Some people have mentioned to me that they'll feed it once a month. They'll go and just feed Hex Shield for a week. They have a couple of different foods, and they'll just do Hex Shield for a week, just kind of as a preventative, kind of like where's that? Thera A. That's a good segue to Thera A. So Thera A is our immune boosting food. I've talked about this one before. I'm using this one right now in my quarantine tank. It's got extra garlic. It's going to help boost the immunity of your fish. So if you've got a sick fish, if you're adding new fish to the tank, if your fish are just behaving a little bit abnormally, go ahead. You know, I throw in some Thera A. It's going to help them to, I don't want to say de-stress, but it's going to help them to try and kick whatever is going on. And I will say, I've been feeding this to my little clownfish that's got urinema. I've also been medicating with a pretty strong medicine, but this is going to be the first time I've seen fish with urinema live this long. So I do give a lot of credit to Thera A, because Thera A is the only thing that I'm feeding in that tank. Clownfish loves it, still is actively eating after almost 3 months, and the urinema is starting to clear up. So Thera A is a good one. Same problem with both yep. Yeah, and it's really hard. Like you want, like they're like, oh yeah, they're eating so well, and you know, it doesn't matter how much they eat, they can never get full. I feed Shield my regular food regardless fish are. Yep. So there you go. I feed Shield regardless of whether or not they're showing signs. That helps to prevent it. You're one of the people that I'm talking about. So thank you for that. Yeah, use it as a preventative. Hopefully you will not actually need it if you are preventing it. All right, let's see, where are we at? Next up, I don't want to go too into depth with these gel or dough foods, because I think they're discontinuing one of them, but if you've got the gel or the dough, you mix it with either hot or cold water. There's instructions on them. It looks a lot like, it's like a powder, kind of like Reef Cell is. Not made the same way that Reef Cell is, but it looks like Reef Cell. This stuff is great for, I use this for mixing and getting Frank to take medicines when he was sick. So it was good. I was able to mix the medication in there, and he was able to eat that. I know people have used the gel and the dough foods for picky fish, kind of like butterflies, angelfish, things like to kind of pick at the rocks. There was an aquarium that I talked to that they mixed that up and then like smashed blobs of it on the rocks, and then the fish were able to, like the slower, pickier fish, were able to kind of go and pick at that. Let's see. You guys are awesome today. Thank you so much for interacting with me. Mix Thera A, Shield. Oh man, all right. Got a double, like a big old whammy. Yeah. Frank usually switches between probiotics and Algae Max. All right, let's see. Where's I at? So I've got the gel, the dough. I'm not going to bore you with reef cell. We talk about reef cell all the time. It's our coral food. We've got it in 2 different sizes. This is what I feed on my little nano reef. Hopefully I'm going to have a video up on my personal channel, Waterlogged 1313, over on Instagram. I'm pretty sure it's just Waterlogged on YouTube, but it's still new, so it's kind of hard to find. But I'm documenting how my corals are growing with reef cell. So something to look forward to. Oh man. Well, we appreciate you for trying. You got some new fish though coming around that probably will eat them. All right, probiotics. Did we talk about probiotics already? Probably not. Not in context to this. So probiotics. This is Frank's current. What? Talking about my food. This is Frank's current favorite food. It's got live cultures in it. It's got those bacteria that are going to boost the gut health of your fish, but it's also got phosphate-eating bacteria in it that's going to boost the health of your fish tank. Frank is cracking me up, you guys. I can hold this and we'll just see like a Frank head pop out like right here. So probiotics, it comes in a couple different sizes. It's really great. We talked about let's see, last but not least, Frank's other fave, Algae Max. Zenzo did a great video on this, talking about the different types of seaweeds and algae that are in Algae Max. There's 9 different ones. Yeah, it's great. I don't want to talk about anybody else's because this is New Life. So yeah, we have 9 different types of seaweeds and algae, and Frank really enjoys this. Cowfish, if you don't know, they love some algae and seaweed. So Frank occasionally will get this and the other one. A lot of people have asked us if we have like seaweed clips or like the seaweed to put in the clips for their picky fish. We don't, but Algae Max has everything they need. And you know, if you wanted, you could always get those gel foods and kind of like put the gel foods on the rocks like I mentioned and give them that option to pick. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all that's in this little brochure. There are more foods out there that aren't on this one, but this is, gosh, when did I take this? I think I took this off our booth from like last year's MACNA, so it's not super current and up to date, but it gives you a great idea of all of the different foods that we have. And you know, we do have a large variety of foods, so your local store might not carry them all, but I've been told by headquarters that you should be able to buy a large variety of them on Amazon and Walmart.com. Now, that said, we did just bring on a new distributor. If your local fish store carries LRS, it's a frozen fish food, Larry is distributing, in addition to his food and other foods, Larry has brought on a lot of New Life Spectrum foods, so I highly encourage you, if your store carries Larry's, ask the owner of the store if you know they can bring in one of these other foods if you're looking for them, if you want to support your local store. Yeah, you could mix the gel foods with the pellet foods. Like the pellets aren't going to dissolve; they'll stick. But if you're trying to get something to like attach it to like the glass, totally. I say I haven't actually tried that, but that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. So, does anybody have any questions? No? All right. So, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If anybody who has watched this video after we recorded it, if you've got questions about food for your fish, what you think, or if you need some help picking out a food, I'd be more than happy to give you my best recommendation. Definitely, if you haven't already, check out our Instagram channel. Every Wednesday, I do what's called a Worldwide Wednesday, where we feature a specific fish, invert, something, an aquatic animal, and every week, whatever that is, I always put a recommendation, like what foods I would recommend to feed to that animal. So, picky fish to eat shield. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Garlic? I've known garlic extract to work when you're trying to convince fish to eat medicated foods. I'm trying to think. There's another product that's out there. I want to say Seachem makes it. It's called Entice. It kind of smells like banana runts. It's weird, but every time I've ever used it, like, fish go bonkers over it. So if you can get a hold of that, I haven't seen it in a while, but we used to have a jar of it at the store that I worked at, and they love it. Banana runts, who knew? Fish like bananas. Why don't they sell food? You know, that's a good question. They redid the website here, I guess in like the last month. So yeah, I'll put the recommendation in there. We get a lot of people asking if they can buy direct from us. I'll put it in because I know a lot of people, they live a little bit far from those local fish stores and stuff like that. So I'll recommend it. Oh, yeah, you could definitely recommend, you could definitely mix the Hex Shield in with the gel. I can't say that I've tasted it, but it smells like the regular pellets. It smells like it's got a little bit of an algae smell. Yeah, it almost smells like Algimax. So if they like Algimax, you might, yeah. You guys are gonna think I'm nuts. Yeah, they might like mixing the gel with the Hex Shield. Oh, that's a good idea. Mixing it into like a pepper grinder to feed the fry. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? No, un poquito español. That was my goal for 2020. By 2020 is to learn conversational Spanish. I'm not doing very good at it. Yep. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help mixing the gel nuggets on it. I don't know if I mentioned this one last thing. Check it out. My mug is so dang cute. Dang Cute Fish made the mug. I bought this. It's not sponsored, but I just think it's super cute. And also, Nugget, who just commented, has a giveaway that's got some dang cute fish gear. So check out his Instagram page for cute stickers and a cuter pepper. All right, guys. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to drop a little comment here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week.